So welcome everyone. My name is Ian and I am the digital marketing lead for Wingi. And today we have with us Yunia Bidali. She is a consultant and a chief growth officer. She is experienced in climate tech. She is experienced in B2B and supply chain management. And she has graciously offered to give us some of the insights that will help us in retail and the small businesses, or as we call them, the growing businesses in Wingi, to learn about how they will grow profits. So for those who are here, I'm going to hand it over to Yunia and she can get us started and prepare any questions you might have because she will be willing to answer here and there. So Yunia, you're welcome and feel free to take it over.
Ian, and good afternoon, everyone. So I hope you're all well and yeah, you're ready to learn something. So I'm going to talk about supply chain in general. I know this may touch on some of what you may already know, and I hope you will either think about things differently after the call, after this meeting rather, or if there's something new that you will learn, then I hope that will be your biggest takeaway. So let me just share the presentation and then we can start. But first, I'd like to do an introduction. So Ian has already touched on what I do, but maybe a more detailed intro would be, my name is Yunia Bidali. I am currently the Chief of Growth and Expansion in plastic recycling company. Before that, I used to work for Trigger Foods, whereby I worked in several positions, all the way from sourcing of product, logistics, warehousing, and also sales. And before that, I used to work with farmers as well. So I've worked with different levels of entrepreneurs, both on the retail side and on the sourcing side, and also dealt with the inventory management and the logistics, which is what forms the supply chain. On a personal level, I am a mother of one boy. So yeah, that's it about me. So for the agenda for today, we are going to look at supply chain management and how it affects your business, how to optimize your supply chain for a successful business. And then I'm also just going to showcase Wingi to see how Wingi is a suitable sourcing and supply chain partner. It could be that there are some aspects of Wingi that maybe as an individual or as an entrepreneur, you didn't know there are on the app. So I'm just going to call those out and then I'll be able to take questions after. All right, so we'll start with supply chain management. So what exactly is supply chain management? So to put it simply, it's just all the steps, people, and processes that it takes to get the product from the supplier to your doorstep, either to your doorstep at your shop or to the doorstep for the consumer. So all the processes involved in that. And then for you to be able to manage this, you're looking at how do you plan it, the coordination in order for the product to arrive on time and in full. So when you place an order with your supplier, then you want your products to arrive at a specific time or at a specific place. And when your customer orders from you, you again want the same to happen. So that's all about supply chain management. So what is supply chain? Sorry. There we go. Okay, so what is supply chain management? Why is it important to your business? It improves your efficiency. Here we're looking at the different product touch points. Product touch points is anytime, assuming you've placed your order, every time someone touches that product in the different organizations or in the supply chain, then there's a cost element attached to it. So I'll give an example. You've placed an order at your suppliers. There are people at the suppliers who are going to touch that product and give it to someone in logistics. If it's just one person doing logistics, then it will move from supplier to either the boda guy or pickup or whatever it is that you're using for logistics. Then it comes to your shop or to you as an individual. And then now from there, how many times is it, how many touch points are there between you and your customer? So you want to improve your efficiency as much as possible. The less the touch points, the better. Then you also have inbound and outbound logistics. So inbound is anything coming into your shop, and outbound is anything that's leaving your shop. So you also want to be as efficient as possible. Why use multiple transport systems yet you can use one? Or why have several people touching your product yet you can have only one? So that's how we're looking at it. Reducing cost and waste. So any damages during transit, damages while in storage, or inventory tracking. So you want to be on top of your inventory. In this case, you need to know what is currently in stock, what is looking like, what is your fastest moving product, what is your slowest moving product, and how do you manage your cash in that aspect. So these are some of the things that you're going to be looking at. And then we have managing risks. So you have out of stock. For example, in the fashion industry, you have seasonality, whereby there's the old season fashion, and then there's the new one that maybe customers want, yet you still have old stock. It could be that there's the Chinese holiday that usually affects shipping or manufacturing. So how does that affect you, and how do you plan around it? There's theft. So if you track your inventory, you're very likely to spot theft. If not immediately, then within a few hours or days of it happening, as opposed to realizing it at the end of the period, maybe of the month or of the quarter, or however it is that you do your stock take. So that's on theft. And then you have quality. So or any other quality related risks can actually be managed in this sense, because you have an overview of how your product travels and who actually touches your product. Enhanced customer service. Everyone always wants to have their products delivered on time and in full. So having an overview of your supply chain will definitely ensure that you get this. So whoever it is that you're using as your logistics partner, for example, when customers order from you, if it's that Boda guy that you use, or if you use Glovo or Bolt or any of these other apps, how convenient are they? How expensive are they? Is this a cause for your customers to refuse to work with you because the value of the logistics is higher than the value of the product? These are some of the things that you're looking at. And then now you have your communication. So your product specifications, your availability, and price. So you're able to give your customers real-time data on what exactly you have. Another why it's important is competitive advantage. So if you're in a market whereby you're selling products that are very similar to to other people around you. So it could be that there are several suppliers of the same product online. If you're using, say, Instagram or any of the other social media platforms, or if you are based in a mall and there are several other people who are selling products within the same category as you. So what distinguishes you from the rest? So under competitive advantage, you could be looking at quality, meaning that you've sourced properly. You could be looking at reliability in the sense that when you tell your customers, I have the product in stock, then it is indeed in stock. Or when you tell them product is going to be in stock by next week, then by next week, they know it's going to be in stock. And then professionalism. Usually, if you have all your information and all your information around your business and your supply chain intact, you seem to be professional, and it comes out very professional because you always know what you're talking about. To a certain, your accuracy is as high as it could possibly get, holding all factors constant. Then you have growth and expansion opportunities. If you understand your unit economics, for example, you understand the products within your category. Assuming you're selling shoes, And within those shoes, you're selling heels, you're selling sport shoes, you're selling open shoes, etc. Once you realize which one is giving you the most profit, or which is the most profitable, which is the highest mover, which is the slowest mover, etc., then you're very quickly able to cull anything that is not moving or anything that is not profitable for you, and you're able to increase the product offering that you have. That could work within the same category, or you could actually add a new category onto your business without necessarily changing the costs. So the rule of thumb is always if you're paying rent of, say, 5,000, 10,000, or if you have fixed costs of a certain amount, X, you always want to be able to squeeze as much value as possible from that fixed cost, and to have as many products as possible actually going through that, whether it's your shop, whether it's your virtual shop, and any other costs that are involved in that shop. So with this being said, if you know your shop, for example, if you have a shop in town, in the CBD, and you know what the unit economics look like, you know what your supply chain looks like, Mombasa, you'll know exactly what to look out for. If the rent is landing at this, then your products need to be at this, your logistics cost needs to be like this, your inventory management needs to be like this, so that you're able to make your profits. So that's why supply chain is important. It could be that some of you are doing this let's say you have the intrinsic knowledge of how to do this. So now this is just to make it more, it's just to package it so that you understand. So this is why I do what I do. Then you have supply relationships. If you understand your supply chain very well and you're managing it, then you also have a very good relationship with your suppliers. You want to have a good relationship with your suppliers. They'll always give you, if there's any offers, if there's any discounts, if there's any new products that they're introducing, priority in terms of sending out your orders, because there's a relationship, there's a business relationship that you have developed with your supplier. So this will always be a good way to work. This applies to not only product suppliers, but also service suppliers. So anyone who's doing storage for you, for example, in town, if you have those storage spaces, or if anyone is doing logistics supply for you, it could be a boda boda, or it could be a company. That's how you just build this relationship. For example, if you use a boda boda guy and he knows you always pay him on time, or your orders are always of this nature, or you need, when the product is delivered, then you should stay there and wait for the customer to pay, or the payment is done beforehand so that this person can show up on time, then these are some of the things that you're looking at. And then adaptability. This one is anything to do with factors that are outside of your influence. Right now we have taxes, we have fuel costs, electricity has gone up. Depending on how this affects your business, then you're quickly able to change and tweak things so that they're able to match the current environment. You'll be able to know if my unit cost for this handbag, if I bought 20 handbags, the unit cost of this handbag is all the cost that I've put in to get this handbag to my shop, or to me when I'm selling them. So what is the cost I'm associating with this, inclusive of the marketing costs, the boda boda costs to bring them to me, that cost, the purchase price from the manufacturer or from your supplier. So how does all that relate to what is happening in my environment, and what do I need to do? Do I need to reduce my stock? Do I need to increase my stock? Do I need to increase my price? Do I need to reduce my price? Or what do I need to do? So it gives you the flexibility, because you again have an overall overview of what is happening within your environment. So how do you optimize supply chain for a successful business? So we have this thing called demand forecasting. Demand forecasting is, first of all, you need to have kept data. So if you're not keeping data, this will be the time to start. So even if you're selling one item at a time, or if you're only buying to sell as and when you get an order, doesn't matter. You still need to keep records of what have I bought, what have I sold, how long did it take me to actually accumulate these orders within a specific period. The period could be weekly, could be daily, could be monthly, could be quarterly. How much effort am I putting into this? And how is the supply for this product with relation to the business that I'm currently doing? So demand forecasting will always help you, especially to check on some of the market trends. You're looking at, do your customers mostly purchase? Do you have more sales during the end month period? So maybe last week to beginning of first week of the month. And if so, what are you doing about it with regards to stocking? If you sell products that really move during the Christmas period, by when should you have started placing your orders so that even at your suppliers, there is no out of stock? So you start planning backwards to see, how do I ensure that I have the stock? If you are importing a product, for example, and you factor in the logistics and the delays that may be there due to whatever reason, how do you make this work? How do you balance your current inventory with what you anticipate to receive from your supplier? So that's all about demand forecasting, and it really works if you keep historical data, and you're going to check how to do this in the next few slides. So then we have inventory management. There are those who use just-in-time inventory management. So basically, you don't want to keep a lot of stock. Maybe you want to keep stock for a week, stock for a day, stock for a month. Maybe, just depending on the space. So you have different types of products within your outlet, and you have limited space, but you still need to display your product. So now you have a just-in-time inventory management. If you're paying for extra storage space, how much is that costing you with relation to the value that you're getting from your products, and is it worth it? If you're storing, if you have excessive storage, for example, how much of your storage will end up being dead stock? How much of it is already dead stock? And when should you start clearing things out? You might have stock that's lasted for 3 months. If you were to calculate the cost of your rent plus the cost of transportation to your shop, and then the cost of, maybe if you're the one who's manning that enterprise and you put a cost to your time, or if you're hiring someone who is if you've hired someone who is manning your business, if you put in their salary cost, and then you have this dead stock, you can actually see the value of that space that you have within that shop. And if the value of that product is, say, 2,000 bob, let's say it's a handbag. So you have 10 handbags, 2,000 bob each, 20,000. And the value of the space that each of those handbags is taking is more than the 20,000. So you're losing 20,000 plus the value of the space within your shop. So that's just one way of looking at things. Data analytics. So basically, you want to analyze everything that you do with regards to the cost of goods. So product price, am I getting from the best supplier the best price? So you're looking at your quality, reliability, and also affordability. Am I getting the best deal with regards to logistics cost? Is my landing cost the best that I could actually get with all these factors held constant? Is my delivery cost getting in the way of my sales? Can I get a more reliable partner? And then you're now looking at the different profits so that you actually make data-driven decisions. Many people like to use intuition, feelings. You're looking at the product that moves the most, but is it giving you the highest profit? Is it driving the revenues within your shop or your business? So once you start putting down your data, then the data starts giving you some insights. So this is also why you need to have a great overview of your supply chain, and the different costs that are associated with it. You also have supplier relationships. I think we've already touched on that. So it's just to ensure that you can actually get the best out of your relationship with your supplier. So then I now put all this together to see what benefit do you get when you work with Wingi. So the Wingi team actually did a survey of some of the vendors in Nairobi and also on the outskirts of Nairobi, just to see from a supply chain and sourcing perspective, what are some of the challenges that vendors and entrepreneurs face. So these are some of the ones that were very popular. There was always delayed shipment, substandard product. Here what they meant was I placed an order online. Maybe it could be that they were ordering or they were importing. So I placed an order. It looked pink or it looked of this color or size, but when it arrives and when I receive it, it's not what I ordered for. So the product does not match the description. And then you have damaged products. So yes, the product is okay from a description perspective. However, and it arrived on time, however, it arrived when damaged. Then you have the long delivery time. And this is where now I was mentioning about the inventory management and how it affects that. So now you're selling, air. You're selling hakuna, as we say. So every time a customer comes and asks you for a product, you don't have it because you're still waiting for a shipment to come in. Many other times customers go to a shop or call their normal, seller, and the seller says, I'm out of stock right now. I'm out of stock right now. So the minute this person gets another person, goes and buys from another person, and they get better service there, or better professionalism and all that, then that's a customer lost, and we don't want that. Expensive shipping cost, assuming you're doing the importation, and then there's lack of consistent supply of high quality goods. So these are some of the things that can actually be traced back to supply chain management, supply chain visibility, and how to be able to sort it out. So if you look at Wingi, the access to unique products. So Wingi offers very unique, high quality products. That's also been a consistent feedback that's been coming in from the different customers that Wingi has. But the main thing that I wanted to point out here is I was just trying to attach what does Wingi offer based on the feedback that they're getting from their customers. What are they offering in order to solve the problems that the customers are facing in the market? So there's consistent supply of high quality goods. If a product is out of stock, then it's very easy for you to see that it's out of stock. And if you call any of the sales representatives, they will be able to give you the expected delivery date as to when to expect these products. So this happens occasionally when maybe there's a spike in orders higher than what was anticipated. This is normal in business, but there should be a quick turnaround time with regards to order placement. So if you have a supplier who's going to give you this, then that's the supplier to stick with. Then you have access to affordable products. So how you look at it from a supply chain perspective is you really want to avoid the different, like I said initially, is the more touch points you have, the more expensive your product is. So if your supplier is, say, shipping from outside of the country, so there's a manufacturer and then maybe there's a broker in between and then it arrives to you, then there's the logistics of maybe sea freight. There's someone who will now and then now gets to the retailer. So you find there's maybe 5 steps before the product gets to you. All those steps cost money because anyone who touches that product has to get something out of it. So and then they ship them to Kenya, meaning there's so many individuals within that supply chain that have been removed, meaning you've actually saved costs by doing this. And so since you've removed the intermediaries and the brokers, then you can actually have the gains pushed down to your customers. So what that means is Wingi can be able to source products at price X, and instead of, or rather price A, and instead of the different intermediaries who would have taken B, C, D, and then you buy at E, they're selling to you at probably price C or price B, simply because the margins are actually much better because there's not many touch points. Then removal of MOQ barrier, I don't think I need to go through this. For those who've tried to order from outside of the country, there's usually an MOQ for shipping. But if you buy through Wingi, then they've already broken that down for you. They've actually removed the minimum order quantity that was there. So this is actually excuse me. Oh my God. Sorry about that. Then, okay, sorry, let me just. All right. So now we have reliability. So you want to have someone who's going to give you consistent supply of high quality products. So Wingi has a team that is based in Asia, and they do check directly with the manufacturers on how the quality of the products before they actually place orders and bring them to Nairobi. So that's the kind of attention to detail that you want. The person that you're talking to in Wingi, Nairobi, actually has direct access to the person who is sourcing in Wingi in Asia. So that's the kind of reliability that you want, even if the product is slightly different from what you had ordered in the previous time. So let's say you had ordered for handbags of a certain quality or shoes or whatever, and then now there's a different type that has actually come into the market, but the reliability in terms of delivery and quality is actually there. Then you have ease of delivery and collection. So there's Sour Mall where you can go and collect your products. And then there's also the warehouse. So again, if you have, depending on where the location is or depending on how you do your transportation, you can choose to go pick from the warehouse or you can choose to go pick from Sour Mall. Either way, you've reduced the number of people who are actually touching your product. And that's what you go for. And then the predictability is now around, if you place your orders today, then within 24 hours, you need to have received your product. Or if they're being delivered directly to your customer, then so be it. But this needs to be as predictable as possible. If a product is available on the app, then you place your order, then you should be able to receive it as and when you've been promised. So this is the predictability that you're talking about. This also translates to your customers, whereby now you can very easily tell them, this will be delivered tomorrow, and it's actually delivered tomorrow. There's nothing as annoying as calling a customer to now retract your promise. Yet they've either paid you or you are anticipating for the payment or they were in a hurry. So this is where now just the competitive advantage comes in. And then just a touch on how to optimize the supply chain. Again, I just wanted to relate this to how Wingi can actually bridge this gap for you and for any of your other entrepreneurial friends that you can introduce them to. So we have demand forecasting, which I'd already mentioned. You can actually, as and when you place your orders on the app actually stores your data. So you can be able to see the products that I've bought, the products that I've sold. You should be able to get some data analytics from that. This should be able to assist you. Now, if you look at, if you check your sales, maybe let's say monthly, and for those who sell online, for example, if you only place an order as and when you have a customer, then you'll be able to know every month, this is the average number of products that I sell. This is the average amount that I actually make for the product, or this is the average amount that I actually need. And if I'm increasing, then I'll be able to see the growth. So I started off selling 5 bags in a month. I've now moved, or in a week, I've now moved to selling 10 or 15 or 20. You're able to see this. If you have a shop where you actually keep stock, again, same thing, you should be able to see this is how my products usually move week on week, month on month. So now that this happens, how much do I now need in order for me to have a sufficient stock in my shop to avoid any out of stock situations? Inventory management, you want the first batch that you bought to be the first batch that is exited. So if you've had a bag or a shoe, sorry, I'm just using bags and shoes, or a flower vase in your shop that you bought 3 months ago, and since that 3 months, you've actually made 2 other purchases of other products or of other vases, then that vase needs to leave that shop. So it's just a matter of knowing this is the batch that came in January, and I'm anticipating by end of Feb I should have cleared them, or by end of Jan I should have cleared. If I haven't cleared, then how am I going to sort this out? And once I sort this out, what am I going to do in order to not have a repeat of this? Am I going to have my order? Am I going to order 3/4? Or am I going to reduce my price? Or what am I going to? Am I going to buy a different type of vase? What are we looking at? We're looking at inventory management system. So you can go to Play Store, choose whichever inventory. You can type in inventory management for shops, for retailers, and you get several apps that you can use. Please pick the one that you feel works for you. In case you have multiple products that you're selling within your shop, and you need to keep track of how your inventory is moving. Then you have data analytics. I've already mentioned this. You can get it in the app. You should be, if you put in your data, then you'll be able to see what your costs look like. If you have an advanced way of doing it, even better. If you can do Excel, just put all your information. If the numbers are not adding up for you from a profitability perspective, most likely it is your supply chain costs that have not been considered. So either you're not considering the airtime that you use, the data bundles that you use to do your advertisement or your communication to your customers, or you're not considering the logistics cost in terms of transportation to your shop. So it's just that there's usually very small, the small charges here and there that need to be considered. So just make sure that you include all of those as you're doing your analytics. And then you have supplier relationships, which I'd already mentioned. So the key takeaways that I'd like for you to have, the first one will be get a reliable supplier. This is a trial and error kind of thing. But the minute you get a good supplier and you know the qualities of a good supplier that you need, someone who can give you reliability in terms of order delivery, in terms of product specification, in terms of stock availability, or in terms of also communication, then this will be the best supplier to work with in that sense. And then aim for minimal product touch points. The more people in the chain touch your product, the more expensive it is. So if you can get someone who has integrated the sourcing, the logistics, and the warehousing into one, and then now they just sell to you, then that's the best option usually. Then we have integrate technology. So if right now, especially in Kenya, we are very tech heavy in terms of our day-to-day use. We already use M-Pesa. We already use the ride-hailing apps. We place orders via different apps for food, for those who do those. It's not a big step to ask that you either utilize whatever Wingi is giving you from an analytics perspective to be able to just track your orders and your sales, or to download an app that can actually help you to do this for your business. Then we have the demand planning, which is extremely important. You want as much as possible to always have stock. You want as much as possible to not have dead stock. So it's a balance. When do I buy? And when do I get rid of the ones that I currently have? At what point is dead stock dead stock? And what should I do about it? Should I wait for a year? Should I wait for 6 months? Should I wait for 3 months and hope and pray, fingers crossed, that a customer is going to come? Or should I do something about it to start utilizing that space to give me revenue that I need? So this is just some of the things that you want to be looking at. And with that, we've come to the end. So I'll just give an opportunity for any questions that the audience may have.
Junior, as we wait to see whether anyone has any questions, I had, because we've had some latecomers coming in, I had one or two that I had written down from the other platforms. So I just wanted to throw them your way and maybe you can address them for us if possible. One was, do you have any tips on how to know any trending items to sell so as to, like you've said, to avoid having dead stock and wasting the small monies that people have in the retail business? Number two, uh, for small shops, like some of them that are listening, what's the easiest way to use data to make some better decisions? I think you've addressed that, but maybe you can touch on it. And how can me as a small business make sure that I know that I am giving my customers exactly what they want rather than replicating what I'm seeing my neighbors do? Those are the three that I have from other platforms. We will address those ones, and then we will be free to share the recording with everyone else who needs it.
All right, I'll start with the first one, trending items to sell. Here, my suggestion will be research, market research. So either you're going to do it online to see what is out there in terms of what are customers buying. It could be that you're getting this information from other platforms that sell, like other social media pages, and see what are customers requesting for. It could be that you do your research in also other areas whereby, for example, if you're targeting mass market, what is the mass market equivalent of what is being sold at the premium market, for example? So let me give an example. If you go to a boutique and this is what they are selling or this is what is trending, if you walk in the streets of Nairobi and you see people are actually buying these popular products, it's just a matter of being very observant and then trying to work backwards to see, okay, so where are these people sourcing this product from? This one is more of intuition, depending on which product category you are working with, and the sources of information. So the source of information in a nutshell would be the market itself, in terms of being observant, in terms of checking online. It could also be your customers, so that they would come and ask, do you have this product? And if majority of the customers, if out of the last 10 inquiries, 6 or 7 of them have been for the same product, there's a high chance that is what is starting to trend. And so you can actually dig deeper to see, is it something that I would want to stock? Does it have the margins that I want? And what is the level of difficulty in acquiring this product and being able to sell it? And what will be the ideal selling price? Yeah. So that will be my answer for that. The easiest way to use data to make decisions. If you do collect data is the best, if not, it's one of the most important things in your business. Data can help you know if you're profitable. if you are selling at the correct price. So let me give an example. Assuming you bought shoes. So you bought shoes at say 2,000 bob, and then you have your transport cost, say 500 shillings, and then maybe you have rent. Now, for your rent, you know how many pairs of shoes or how many boxes of shoes or how many products you can actually hold within that space. So I will take the cost of the rental income, the rental expense, and divide it by the potential things I could sell within a month within that space. So that now I'm utilizing it as much as possible. So the one thing you want to do is your shelf space is a very, very valuable, it's the most valuable thing you have. Now, either you use that shelf space very well in terms of you have very many products passing through that same space, or whatever product you have there does not sit there for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, just gathering dust, yet that space could have generated much more income for you. So you want to have all the data at hand in order for you to make informed decisions. So this could be purchase data in terms of product price. So if you go to Kamkunji and they're selling the product at X, and if you go to Wingi and they're selling the product at Y, that is a data point. If you look at the transport cost that you're incurring, that's a data point. If you look at if you look at the number of customers who bought, or if you look at the number of products that are dead stock, then that's also a data point. Everything is a data point at this point, and it depends. What do you as an individual want to do for your business? Are you looking at profitability? Are you looking at growth potential? Are you looking to add another product line to your business? Are you looking to sell to customers who are outside of your current vicinity? If you usually sell in Buruburu in Nairobi, do you now want to increase that to Buruburu, Umoja, and Embakasi? Or do you sell in Nairobi and then you want to sell in Kisumu, Eldoret? Or what do you want to do? So the data points that you want to collect really depend on what you want to do as an individual for your business. And then for how do you give customers what they want? I'll take you back to the example I gave for Wingi, whereby a survey was done. So what I would suggest is always ask questions, be very inquisitive about your customers, be very inquisitive, or be very proactive around collecting feedback. Feedback is always good. So feedback could be on service or on the product that you're selling. And then from a data point perspective, you could look at every time your customer is placing an order, use that opportunity to find out X. It could be that you want to introduce new product line. So you're currently selling handbags and you want to introduce tops. And you just send some photos and ask. So would you be interested in buying these tops? Send it to all your customers and see what is the feedback. Would they want this at this price? As in, it's just like your sense checking to see, does this make sense or does this not make sense? So I would say have a very strong feedback loop with your customers so that they actually give you the information that you need, as opposed to you copying what other people are doing. And then I would couple that with also checking on the consumers who are everywhere, on the streets, on the news, whatever you want to call it. What are they doing? What are they wearing? What do they like? What is the current trend? So it's just being ahead of the market trend. And then also now coupling that with feedback, and then now giving it a test. I always advise that if you're introducing a new product, or if you're thinking of introducing a new product category, please don't go in and put in all your money. Just buy a bit, see what the market thinks about it, and then be very agile. So if it doesn't work, fine, what's the next thing? Or how do I get rid of this so that I can move to the next thing? Or if it does work, how long do I give it from a trial perspective? And then now upgrade and increase the volumes that I'm actually selling. Ian?
Thank you, Yunia. I am checking to see whether we have any questions, and I actually see we don't even have enough time left to take up any more questions. So I wanted to thank you so much. We've had you for almost an hour. Thank you for taking your time to school us on this. We've been recording, so best know we will use it somewhere else to school someone else and teach some of our customers on these tips that you've sent our way. Thank you very much, Yunia. I think we're going to end it right there, and see you on the flip side.
All right, thank you, Ian, and thank you everyone for attending. Have a nice
Thank you.
Bye.